A young and ambitious student with dreams and hopes to be successful realizes and learns while still in college that there is a way to be financially independent. 21-year-old Morris Vanish realizes and viewed real estate as his calling for independence and wealth. Morris got a first-hand look at what real estate can do by renting his own apartment in college and realized the passive income his landlord was enjoying. He does not realize it yet, but he was going to be a major influence in the world of real estate. What he learned in the past 18 years, he will teach you today, and it's all free of charge. There's an entrepreneur locked inside of you. The key to freedom is information, the kind of information you find here on the Morris Vanish Real Estate Investor Show. No fluff, no theory, just real-life practices. He is not a professional speaker or teacher, but first and foremost an investor. Here's the real estate man, Morris Vanish.
Being in the real estate business for 18 years now, and in the last 5 years, I've started to share what I know. For the first 12 years or so, my head was down. I was really cranking out the business. I was doing deals. I was doing the business. I was a full-time and still am a full-time investor. I buy, I sell, I rent. I absolutely love it. I've been doing it since I think my first property I bought at age 23. Took me 2 years after graduating from college, banging my head against the wall and trying to figure out how to not just talk about being a real estate investor, actually doing it and doing it full-time and calling myself an investor, truly making a living as a real estate investor. And, after 18 years and definitely the last 5, getting involved in education and teaching and mentoring people and getting the circle of doing it, then when you're doing it and when you're educating somebody and then you go out there and practice what you preach. So you're going through all the practices because everything I talk about, nothing is theory. It's all real. It's all what I've done. I don't know how to do it any other way. I can only talk about what I've done. So having said that, having the experience and the know-how to be able to do it and then share it and get feedback. I've, a mentor somebody that knows nothing about the business and taken him from 0 to 60 to be able to do it and see the confidence and seeing also the challenges and the obstacles of why people never do it. I've educated people from their 20-something to their 70-something. I had a student, they were 76 years old, 2 older couple. They were just learning it in the beginning because it's never too late to learn. I've always said the day you stop learning is the day you're going backwards, and you really it's so important to continue to progress. You see that in sports. You see that in life. You see that in people's motivation to succeed. Success requires a constant desire to move forward, a constant desire to grow, never staying still, because winners and people that are go-getters and are movers and shakers, staying still is really going backwards, because if you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. And going forward is such a big statement, because regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of what you're doing, you need to make sure that you're constantly moving forward. You're learning more about whatever industry you're in. You constantly are improving yourself. You're giving yourself a reason. You're giving yourself a motivation. And I think that's so important. That's why you listen to shows like this, because if you're looking to be in the real estate business, if you're looking to have a diversity, if you're looking to put money in something else, you want to know about it. You want to educate yourself about it, especially a business. You listen to Daniel, and Daniel is in a business, the stock market. I mean, talk about constant movements every second. That was a whole 60 minutes about the market and how they're just a half a second ahead of the market, and they're getting an edge because of a half a second and their ability to move technology around. And, the stock market is a very extreme example of how important information is. And real estate is no different, even though it's a little bit slower moving, but there's still a moving market. So it is so important to educate yourself and to continue to move forward and grow, especially in an industry that has moving parts called the economy. So today, when I'm going to come back, I'm going to talk to you about why do most people never pull the trigger and do it? What is the challenges and what are the obstacles from somebody saying, I know the real estate business is great. I definitely want to do it. It's hard, competition, all these things that you can use We're going to tackle that today, and we're going to talk about the obstacles and why. And after mentoring over 200 people, believe me, I've seen it firsthand, and I'm in a very good position to talk about it and share with you what are the obstacles. And we'll talk about some deals, and we'll give some examples of what are good deals and what kind of deals you need to tackle. So looks like I'm getting the pull. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome to the Real Estate Mentor Show. This is Morris Fanish. Stay tuned, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about how to remove these fears. Okay? We'll be right back after these messages. This is Morris.
Are you tired of stressing about the market and worrying about the decisions you or your broker is making? The smart money is diversifying in rental real estate right now. The current real estate market offers some of the greatest opportunities I've ever seen. Banks are unloading properties, and people like me are snapping them up. You can do the same. My name is Morris Vanish, author of the book, The Road to Real Estate Wealth. I invite you to text me for a free copy of my book. It's full of practical real estate investing tips that I put together over my 17 years of experience and after hundreds of transactions. Text me at 305-525-3540. That's 305-525-3540 to get my free book. Finally, a company that can help facilitate new and seasoned investors overcome their hang-ups, misconceptions, fears, and take advantage of double-digit returns, all backed by real estate. We've helped countless individuals and companies break out and make it in the world of real estate. You can too. Real estate is not one size fits all. Call me to set up a meeting and discuss your needs. Call 305-525-3540.
I just want to say something. You know, there's so much information to cramp in such a short period of time. I want to apologize sometimes if I'm speaking too fast, but I really want to get the point across, and sometimes you really need to lay a foundation to let you know what it is we're looking for. So today's topic was, how to remove that fear? How do we, what is holding us back from actually doing it? Especially the real estate business could be sometimes intimidating because it's a different kind of asset, but it's such a powerful asset. If you do crack the ice, and if you do it, and some of you listeners out there are doing it, and some are doing it successfully, and some are not, and some of you guys maybe listen to the wrong people or bought, those pre-construction speculative condos that we've been going through in South Florida, and they're still going through it right now. It's like South Florida is going through a second boom. But, before I get into some of these fears, I want to go ahead and explain what's going on right now in today's market and what happened. We've had this boom that we all know about, where especially in South Florida and places like Las Vegas and California, the high-profile real estate markets blew up with, banks giving money away and allowing so much circulation of money, and easy access to money is basically putting a lot of honey, and the bees are going to come. And that's what the banks did. And we dealt with that for a while, and people were buying, and everybody all of a sudden became a real estate expert and an investor, and everybody's buying left and right, and sellers are selling on demand, and almost made real estate a liquid asset. Now, taking that market, of course, with every boom, there's going to be a bust, and that's circle of life and circle of our economy, and every economy in that sense. We went through a crash where, banks all of a sudden got hit in the face, and of course the real losers weren't the bank, because they got bailed out, and they were restructuring, and nobody at the bank is making a mortgage payment. But at the same time, as the people that had the 401ks, the stocks, everything they worked for, and they had their money in the stock market, and of course, those are the real losers, and people that worked so hard to build their nest egg that had 401k, and we say, oh, your 401k is now 201k because you lost 50% of the assets. Now, people like me that put all their money in real estate and behind, rental real estate, I was pretty much immune to that because the rental market didn't change. If anything, it got better. Somebody paying $1,100 a month, regardless of the market going up and down and boom and bust, they were still paying $1,100 a month. So that part did not change. Now, property taxes was at a high point during the boom, and it came back down to earth during the bust, which was the adjustment that we needed. So where are we right now? We've gone through the boom and bust, and especially in South Florida, we are a gateway to the rest of the world. So what happens now is you have a lot of other economies in the world that are doing well. internationally, but they know their crashes abroad are different than the United States crashes. America is still a very stable country. It's the greatest country to be in the world. There's absolutely no question. Having said that, people know that, so they're putting money in American real estate. They're buying a lot of those condos, and they're paying big money for it. And you know what? They're paying cash. There's a lot of cash pumped into United States real estate right now abroad, especially in South Florida, the market where I'm heavily invested in. So I see that more and more. So it's hard to judge a boom that is driven purely with equity infusion and not mortgages. You want to see the banks lending again. You hear about it. The rates are still good, but we're still dealing with somewhat of a credit crunch. So I don't really, as an investor, I want people to understand, as an investor, when I see a cash buy, it's hard for me to use that comparable, that sale as an example, because it's just somebody paying. I want to see a bank lending. I want to see an appraisal. I want to see the steps that you have to go through and the hurdles you need to jump in order to get the loan on a property, because that's a much stronger comparable. If I'm looking to buy a piece of real estate for $100,000 and I want to see and establish what is it really worth, and I'm thinking it's worth $200,000 or $150,000, I want to see the sales, because I like to go into what's sold, because real estate value is dictated in regards to what other sales are happening in the area. It's all dictated by buyers and sellers, and that's only by closed sales. By, okay, this property sold for 150, this property sold for 160, this property sold for 140. You look at those and you establish what is the value of the property you're looking to buy based on what other people paid in the immediate area, while we're comparing apples to apples as far as size, location, area, neighborhood, that sort of thing. Now, if you see a sale that is cash and you see a sale that the buyers got a mortgage, those two sales, I'm going to put a lot more weight on the one that got a mortgage. So the market we're in right now, and it's getting better every day. The real estate market has definitely adjusted what it needs to be. And I'm going to give you an example real quick about that. It's adjusting to what it needs to be. So we want to see more sales with banks lending money, because that's a healthier comparable. It's a much stronger position to understand and have a good comfort level to what is the value of a property. Now, just to give you a real easy understanding of how the market made the adjustment. During the boom, if you're going to buy a property, it was much more expensive to own it than it was to rent it. Example, if I bought something for $200,000, my mortgage, taxes, insurance are $2,000 a month. Now, if I rented that property, I could rent it for $1,500 a month. So I would pay more money every month if I wanted to own it. In essence, I'm getting punished for buying it. Sure, you get the deductions, but cash flow-wise, you're losing money every month. It's cheaper to rent the property. Now, that's not a healthy concept for real estate. Now, take the market with the prices dropping. It should be, if you take a $100,000 property and you're going to buy that property, the property that used to be worth $200,000 during the boom, but the real value was $100,000. That $100,000 property, your taxes, insurance, principal, and interest every month's overhead would be $1,000 a month. If you're going to rent that property, you're paying $1,500 a month. Now we're cooking with gas. You see, what happens is it's cheaper to own it than it is to rent it. You should be rewarded for owning it. Now, this example is mainly used for properties that are under $500,000, because when you go into the bigger echelons, $1 million, $2 million properties, that's in a different department, and it doesn't really work exactly as this concept. But let's face it, we're talking about affordable housing, properties that are more reasonable. This is not a show about $1 million listing. So it's very important to understand that now we had that adjustment that we needed to make. So most people, with all this information I'm throwing at you, and it could sound confusing. A lot of people, they don't pull the trigger, and this is the main thing I wanted to talk about today is how do people get over the concept of that will never pull the trigger with all these unknowns. Not knowing and not knowing how to truly understand the deal and what it could do for you. I think that's one of the most important things. When I mentor somebody, I tell them there's two things you're going to learn right off the bat. You're not going to learn everything you need to learn in 3 days. It doesn't work. This is just the beginning stage, just to give you the training and the concept to understand what it is. You're going to learn two things, and these are the two most important things outside of everything else I'll talk about today, you need to learn how to identify what a good deal looks like. Because if you take anybody that really does not have a lot of experience in real estate and I throw 10 different deals at you to look at on paper, you're going to look at it and you're going to try to break it down. You're going to try to understand exactly what it is I'm looking at, and it's very hard. So I teach people the first concept that they're going to learn is how do I distinguish good deals from bad? How do I distinguish good deals from bad? And how do we structure deals? How do we put deals together that are going to work for me, for you? Because everybody is different. It's not a one-size-fits-all. A lot of these, companies are coming in and out of town with the 800 members. They're more of a cookie cutter, and I think it's wrong. You need to have personalization because everybody has a different goal, different background, different education level, different ability, different objectives, different needs, and you need to kind of put all that together. During the show, I do a promotion, and I really do appreciate it because I'm getting a lot of great feedback from everybody. If you guys like what you hear, I wrote a book about 5 years ago that really outlines everything I've done. Very powerful book because it's real. There's no theory. There's no fluff. I eliminated all the guru fluff that comes together. This is I'm not talking about impossible techniques. I'm talking about techniques that I use every day. If you guys send a text message with your email address during the show, I'm going to send you guys a free copy of my book. My text number, my phone number is 305-525-3540. That's 305-525-3540. Send me a text message with your email address. I'd be more than happy to go ahead and send you a free copy of my book. It's 305-525-3540. And we'll be back, and we're going to talk about, and we're going to close out the show breaking down some of the challenges that we have and some of the things that we need to overcome in order to break the ice and take advantage of the greatest business in the world, I think, is the real estate business. The stability and the long-term wealth is absolutely exciting, and I get excited when I talk about it. I have no question. So we'll be right back, and we're going to close out the show talking about a couple more obstacles that we need to get over in order to take some action. We'll be right back after these messages.
Are you tired of stressing about the market and worrying about the decisions you or your broker is making? The Smart Money is diversifying in rental real estate right now. The current real estate market offers some of the greatest opportunities I've ever seen. Banks are unloading properties, and people like me are snapping them up. You can do the same. My name is Morris Vanish, author of the book, The Road to Real Estate Wealth. I invite you to text me for a free copy of my book. It's full of practical real estate investing tips that I put together over my 17 years of experience and after hundreds of transactions. Text me at 305-525-3540. That's 305-525-3540 to get my free book. Finally, a company that can help facilitate new and seasoned investors overcome their hang-ups, misconceptions, fears, and take advantage of double-digit returns, all backed by real estate. We've helped countless individuals and companies break out and make it in the world of real estate. You can too. Real estate is not one size fits all. Call me to set up a meeting and discuss your needs. Call 305-525-3540.
Well, welcome back. Man, this half hour has flown by. Hope everybody's enjoying it. I'm already getting a few text messages. Thank you guys for listening and your support. Appreciate it. Let's close the show. Don't have a lot of time to close. Again, I'm giving away a free copy of my book for anybody that wants to just send me a text message. It's 305-525-3540, 305-525-3540. Let me close by, we're talking about why don't people pull the trigger. I'm also in a few different markets, and I've been in a few different markets for the last 7-8 years now. And let me just add and say, when I go into a new market, sure, I know the business. I've done a lot of experience. I've done a lot of houses. But, when you go to a new market, it's understanding the new market. The first thing I do is I try to go to either a networking event or I want to clamp on to somebody that's already doing it locally in the market that I'm trying to enter. And I try to immerse myself and build that Rolodex, because one of the keys to making this business successful, number one, is having your objectives and your goals in line with what it is you want to do. If you're looking to rent, if you're looking to sell, you just want to buy and sell, if you want to keep long-term passive income, there is different objectives. And once you have your objective, and once you put your blueprint together of, just like building a house, you need to have a plan, you need to have a blueprint, and then start the foundation of what it is you're going to build. So you need to understand that, first and foremost, have your objectives and goals align with what it is you're looking to do. Once you establish that, you need to figure out, based on the blueprints, you're going to understand where you're going to be investing in, what kind of properties you're going to be looking for. If you're going to be buying and selling, you want to be in a different area. If you're going to be buying and renting, you want to be in a different area that's going to be more inducive to that, where it's going to support you. If you're trying to buy and sell in an area that is mainly for buying and renting, you're going to run into possible buyers that qualify. You're going to run into people that are not really in the. You're going to run into people that don't have the buyer's mentality, more rentals mentality, and vice versa. When you're in a market that's selling and you're trying to rent, people are mainly in line to buy and they don't want to rent, so you're going to have a hard time keeping a long-term tenant there. You're always going to be struggling. The best rental property is, rent it to somebody and let them stay there for the next decade. You'll get occasional maintenance calls, but you'll have that long-term tenant base, and that's what I've done by being in the right rental area. So having your blueprint, making sure that's in line, making sure your game plan's in line, and you're in the right market, and having that Rolodex, having people that could, carpenters and carpet people and appliances and conditioning and electric and plumbing and all those things that solves problems and make our life easier. And so having that good quality people, because as an investor, anybody that I deal with, any vendor, realtors, title companies, mortgage brokers, anybody that is involved in your real estate transaction needs to be investor-minded. They need to be investor-friendly, because you can have a great contractor, but they're better for end users and retail buyers. You need somebody that thinks and be sympathetic to an investor, because you always want to give yourself the best deal. Looks like I'm getting the hook. I hope you guys had enjoyed the show. Again, I'm giving away a free copy of my book, 305-525-3540. Just throw me a text with your email address, 305-525-3540. You can also